Hey guys, you know who it is. You know where you are and you know what's happening. J Chats is back. So just simply subscribe and share, and of course click that bell so you know every time I drop a new video, you're there with me. Topics may include growth, development, social issues, broadcasting, even marketing for one's business. This is where we learn together. J Chats, from interests to insights. Enjoy. So welcome back to it. We had to make this part two because there's so much info to be taken from the gentleman in studio. I keep saying in studio, but you know what I mean. I do feel like he's right there. Ian is back with some more info as we continue inside of part two.
Right? If it is that you realize that there might be an increased usage of your product, given that customers are not going out as often and not able to shop as often, you again plug the hole. How can you expand the usage or actually take better care of your product, given that you are using it more, right? So if you look at telecommunications and internet providers, you have a lot more persons actually logging on. A lot more persons are doing exactly what we're doing and having Zoom sessions, Skype sessions, watching a whole lot of Netflix, So how can you, as a provider, educate persons in terms of bandwidth, and how do you now, as well, look at the other side of it, in terms of being sure that you balance the amount of time that you spend online, and even in terms of your exposure to so many possible negative externalities when it comes to actually being in front of a device for so long. Right? So providing customers with that other side to your product and how they interact with it is so critical for a business now. Again, sometimes it's things that you might take for granted because that normal way of what we used to do, we got complacent in it, right? As a business and as a customer. So now as a provider, you have to take that step back and really look at, and it really starts by looking at even some of the complaints that you might have seen coming through your doors, and figuring out, what are some of the things that customers tend to always have issues with? Because guess what? It's going to double and triple now because persons just have more time. I saw this morning on ABC, there was a hairstylist related to COVID, a hairstylist. And it took me by storm, like, bruh, but the conversation was put down the scissors, right? And stop cutting your own bangs and cutting your own hair. Instead, there are different hair masks and deep conditioning that you can do during this time where you can't come into the salon. And I thought that's actually a really cool way of actually talking to persons at this point in time.
You are reading my mind because that is one of the things that I have coming up with a hairstylist talking to us, because it doesn't look like it right now, but my hair is being steamed right now because I've got some caps on and some hair leave-in conditioner. So we have more work to do at home, taking care of our hair, whether it's a beard for the guys. You guys have to learn how to do your own barbering. So we all have to get very, very creative. So that is something that actually you're promoting, one of the shows that I have upcoming in the future in J Chats, where I want to speak to a hairstylist and what we should be doing during this quarantine time. But in terms of remembering that a quarantine won't last forever, we have to also prepare for post-COVID, post-quarantine time. What are some of the things that you may have mentioned before, or maybe some things that we have not looked at post-COVID? Because now, as you said, this new normal, which we are not ready to deal with, is coming our way. Whether we are now adopting wearing masks more often, still maintaining that social distancing again. So how do we now post-COVID still push that brand positively, but inviting persons to still come in and do what they need to do within our services?
I know I've said this to you before, and I say it over and over in different forums. COVID-19 is both a virus and it's also a vaccine for the business. Why is it a vaccine? Because not many businesses have either gotten the time to or even considered how can we now transform our business to better serve the customer, right? What you have seen over the last few weeks is almost like a total acceleration of so many project plans of that digital transformation taking place. Something as simple as being able to order your groceries via WhatsApp, right? More companies are jumping onto the digital space to provide e-commerce options for their customers, recognizing that convenience now plays a much higher role in terms of supporting your customer. Marketing comes in nicely there, and marketing is a support function, right? Because what happens on top in terms of the business decisions filters into the marketing's plans, right? So if the business is taking on a new wave of technology and serving the customer more online through different platforms, whether it be Facebook for Business, it's or the company's own website, WhatsApp, right? Whatever forms the e-commerce is taking place, marketing must understand that. And before it actually is launched, start asking your customers, is this something you would be interested in?
Gotcha.
Now is the time to start driving marketing research if it wasn't done before. If you had it shelved, all the data, put it out now, and start applying it to the plans that you are considering, because you want to ensure you launch and you launch well. If you have not done any engagement, now is the time to start asking the questions, whether it is you go from as simple as a phone call, old school way, or you jump onto something like SurveyMonkey, ask questions via Facebook, get the intelligence to inform what decisions you take, right? It's as simple as asking a question, right? So once you tap into what my customers are going to respond to, and you have the plans actually being filtered on the top in terms of we want to drive more of an e-business, marry the two. Because your intelligence would allow you to formulate the right messages to support the promotion of this new way of doing business. You know what customers want. You know who your customers are in the first place.
Yes.
You know what your customers want. You know how to talk to them, in what language they're going to understand. You know where to talk to them. Where they're going for information, where they're going for entertainment. You've seen an increase in new media, digital advertising, digital conversation. Not that traditional media doesn't have its place. And by traditional, I'm talking, of course, in terms of radio, television, newspaper. But in terms of a business, traditional advertising has its pros, it has its cons. One of its cons is in terms of cost. As a business, it is difficult for us now to actually jump into high expenditure campaigns because the customer traffic isn't coming into the business as it usually did. And things must make sense, right? So when you talk about the return on the investment for a campaign, right, you will have to now look at not only more economical ways, but more impactful ways, more measurable ways. And that is what digital advertising gives you. So when you look at how can you actually look at marketing for post-COVID, you have to first pull back and look at what am I going to offer post-COVID?
Okay.
Right? And that is where the beauty of in the midst of this madness is coming, where you're seeing businesses actually create all these new ways for customers to purchase. It is a wonderful sight to see so many persons actually logging on and doing their stuff, right? So many persons, well, I set up my account but never went on after that. That conversation is changing, and Jay, I know you are guilty. That conversation is now changing. But post-COVID, is that going to be continued? Right? That is a true test for a business. Is it going to continue in terms of these new normals, these new business platforms? And as a marketer, you have to ensure that you keep that conversation going, that it supports the direction of the business.
Well, I am just really glad that I have you as a friend. So therefore, I know I've been reprimanded many times by you, so I know if you see that I'm not doing something effectively on my platforms, you say, Jay, you need to try this, or you should do this more often. You should post more often. And that's one of the final questions that I have for you. How often do you think, with all those things you spoke about before, the positivity being driven, the imagery, and the language, how often do you think we need to be presenting ourselves? Should we set some sort of a content calendar to assist us?
So this might sound pretty crazy, but please don't be the pesty ex,
What does that
right?
mean?
The last thing a user, a customer wants is regretting having followed your page because you are coming across as totally spamming them with way too much content, right? So in terms of the frequency, you're looking at a 7-day calendar, ensure you at least post 5 days a week, right? But it's difficult to really just narrow it down to a number like that if it is that your content isn't good, right? If you are just trying to hit numbers, we have 5 posts for the week, we're good to go. The question really is it 5 posts of substance, right? And by substance here, I'm talking not just, it doesn't have to be about a promotion only. It doesn't have to be soft, flowery messaging only. You need to have a nice balance. So in creating a calendar, and I'm happy you said that, Jay, a calendar is always great for a marketer to actually plan out what am I going to message every week. So as an example, once a week we will have a promotional post. Once a week, we will have a post in terms of how do you use the product to get the most out of it. Another post might be something just totally motivational or tapping into your brand heart, right? And the fourth one might be something simple as reflecting on some type of event happening around the world that ties into a corporate social responsibility initiative that you are doing, right? So and again, I'm just being very, very hypothetical in terms of doing that. But at least it gives you a guideline every week of what you want to talk about, right? Now is the time to ensure that you have a properly well-planned calendar, right? If you had a calendar pre-COVID, might not be simple as hitting play for it to continue running as is, right? As marketers, we have to pull back. We have to press pause on some things. We have to know what can continue in terms of messaging. I give you as an utilizing a calendar, like most persons, utilizing a calendar that might have been created from the previous month might actually be a good time to simply press play on that, right? Because the content might no longer be relevant given what has happened. Let's face the fact, COVID has hit us,
Yeah.
and for many, we were not ready for that sucker punch. For most, we
Yeah.
weren't ready
So
for that
true.
sucker punch. So we're really reeling from it. But simply utilizing a calendar that was planned back in February, back in March, might not be the smartest thing to do. You have to keep curating content that is relevant to now, right? Some of your campaigns we would have had planned, I guess, even a quarter by quarter in advance, right? You have to know what to press pause on. Some of that you might have to shelve completely,
Yeah.
right? Because there's just no longer space for it. And some of it you'll have to simply delay to quarter three, quarter four when things get back to some version of a normal that we might have known, right? But now is the time to actually create content that is relevant in the space and in the conversations that are happening today. Your messaging, your imagery, as we were spoken about, your
Mm.
language, we were spoken about that as well. It must be localized to what is happening in today's environment. One of the things I want to bring into to this part of it as well, please don't set yourself up as another news carrier.
Okay.
Don't add to the gloom and doom of what is happening in today's society. Meaning, every day you are pushing out a message about how many cases,
But if I
right?
want to do that, because I feel like you're targeting me here, but if I want to do that, events his head. If I want to do that, though, to just inform, because I would have been shocked to see that, let's say, Germany has a severe relapse after they have really eased their lockdown. And I want to share that information. That's the kind of information I share. I should also time that strategically, not consistently every day.
Correct. You see, you have to know how to space out your messages, right? It becomes very heavy when every day you are just seeing all these negative headlines.
Okay.
Trinis, we don't like to read. We might just read a headline, right? Guilty, right? But when you
Is telling the truth.
but
Yeah.
when you see so many negative headlines, it becomes depressing even on your even subconsciously. You don't realize it starts to filter in. So know how to balance it. So it's okay if there is a huge headline that is going to be out there talking about statistics,
Right.
but know how to
Tailor
space
it.
that out, right?
Yeah.
Find other side of coping. Have a message out there about someone who would have actually gotten over the virus.
Nice.
Have a message out there about someone who has created their own homeschooling best practice that you can share with other parents and guardians. Don't overburden because there's already so much information out there,
Well, I
right?
do. I do want to confess. I do try to do that because if you had noticed on my page, I try to also take some of the positives out of some places that I follow, like the WHO or CDC, if they're offering things that help us change or new practices that we need to apply. So I really need. I guess I'll work on the balancing of both. Because sometimes you want to share the shocking news, but you do want to share as well the news that will. Hey, so yeah, it's something that we need to work on.
And you mentioned the CDC and the WHO. And I'm happy you did because those are relevant
Yes.
sources of
Yes.
information. And, and companies, sole traders, please, if you're going to post anything that you deem to be correct and deem to be accurate, let it be from a reliable source.
True.
The worst thing you can do is peg your brand to a false headline. Stop it. It is not the newspaper, the pass, the blast. That's
I
not going
remember
to
the
sound like my
blast.
age here.
Yeah,
But, well,
you did.
you would know it, right? You're not trying to take over that space, right? So ensure you use you use reliable and credible sources if you are going to quote anyone,
Great.
right? Anybody.
All right.
One of the things,
Go ahead.
if you remind me, just in this wrapping up the question, one of the important things you have to do post COVID is have your marketing message ready. Have your marketing message ready, right? As marketers, it's important for us to take the time out to know how we are going to relaunch. It's almost as though the year is starting over,
Yeah.
and the year being your fiscal year is starting over, right? My marketing plan that was done in the latter half of last year, most of it probably is not going to be launched at, um, at all or in the form it was positioned to be launched, right? But now is the time for you to actually figure out what campaign am I going to launch with?
Right.
What activity am I going to have out there, whether it be traditional spaces or online spaces? What type of campaign is going to be most impactful, right? If you don't have a brand heart already positioned or you have it and it's just sitting down there marinating, now it's time to pull out elements of it and know post COVID, what is my message that I'm going to use to represent my organization and its employees?
So I think basically at the end of this conversation, what you're driving home is that this quarantine time or COVID time of isolation where we are social distancing or physically distancing is not a time to just rock back and say, well, we can just wait and see what happens when the doors are open again. This is a time where we need to get creative, get attentive, still work hard to brand and push ourselves. So this is kind of like just a little more time given to work on your businesses a little bit more, with not so much of the influx of customers coming your way. So this is a sort of a preparation, as you say, for post-COVID. We have to utilize this time.
And I'm agreeing with you 110% here because you don't have the distractions that regular 8 to 4 in an
Yes.
office brings. I mean, my phone rings off the hook. I still have meetings, but it's not as frequent as if you're in the office, right? So you still have some more quiet time to prepare. But one of the key reasons why you should be preparing is because we do not know what to expect
Mm,
post COVID.
mm, yeah.
What we can ensure is that things are not probably going to resemble what it used to, right? Customers' responses to marketing messages might not be the same. Person's responses to sales promotions, person's responses to actual coming into your doors might not be the same, at least for the next 3 to 6 months, right? For most businesses that are not KFC, it is not going to be business as usual,
Oh, we miss
right?
KFC. We do miss
Oh, I
KFC.
can do it. I can do with your
Trust
best
me.
deal right about now.
Watch me, kid you not. And I wasn't a regular, but I feel like it today. It's that feeling. But I do want to thank you for offering up your information and sharing that with us inside of J Chats. Thank you for being my first guest inside the rebirth of J Chats. Yeah. And certainly, as the tagline says, from interest to insight. So you've offered a lot of that as we work towards post COVID, and just in fact, before post COVID, as we work towards dealing with this new life that we are currently embarking on, and certainly what the future holds, even though there lies a lot of uncertainty, truth be told. So thank you so much. Any final words before you go? I don't know if you want to, certainly let persons know we can connect with you on LinkedIn, because I know you're there. Some persons may have questions or want to have discussions with you on what they are doing. So can you share that information with us?
Sure. I'll just leave some marketing words and then my contact info. At this point in time, the emphasis really should be in terms of how do you engage your customers? How do you build that bridge between customer and company? Now is the time. Even if your doors are closed, connect, connect,
Yeah.
connect. Right? You have to ensure that when things are back to a space where we can actually go out and actually purchase, that you have your safety protocols in a gear, and that you message that you have them in a gear, right? Because if you aren't doing it, your competitor certainly is. And trust is a huge factor customers are going to use to actually decide where do I go to purchase, right?
Yeah.
Have your marketing message ready, and use this off time to really prepare for your relaunch and your
Mhm.
comeback season, right? If persons want to contact me, they can reach me on LinkedIn, Ian Marcus Lewis, as well as my email address, ianmlewis@hotmail.com. Jay, very, very
Yes.
big thank you for giving me the platform,
Oh, thank
and I hope I was
you.
able to take some of your interests and turn them into marketing insights.
Thank you very much. I am just so happy that you gave me some of your time. I know you got to go because I know your phone was ringing before, so you still got work to do. So I thank
Yep.
you for that. And I'll see you guys inside the next one. Of course, a very interesting conversation. Keep it right here. J Chats on YouTube. Follow, subscribe, share with friends as well. It's the YouTube Stars podcast, The Return of J Chats. I hope you enjoyed it.